Hi, we're live. Dr. Gail is still moving,
Yeah,
so you
and
get to meet.
Dirty
Yep,
Harriet's cat. We're in the
yep.
car.
And I'm glad I asked people to write their questions down because we're going to go through the violet flame first. And I found there's a weird connection between Dr. Gail and the violet flame. The guy who started the I Am movement in Shasta was hiking in the Muir Woods and was told by Saint Germain to go to the Muir Woods and start that. So I thought that was kind of an interesting piece of information. Um, the questions come up, and it came through Dr. Gail. That's one reason why she's here. It's with someone she was working with. And he wanted to know about this protection prayer that I use, the violet flame. Now, that's what I call it. Dr. Gail has a different version of the violet flame. But I'm going to read to you the basic violet flame. And this is the one for personal stuff, or if you're in a store, if you're in a building, wherever you are. And what the violet flame, okay, this is my very not particularly hierarchically accepted view of what it is. You're calling in Archangel Zydeco, who is the archangel for removing things and to fixing things and to give forgiveness. And he's like that. And he has Saint Germain who works with him, who's now among the ascended masters. And they also have some angels that come in with them, Victoria, Articus, and Diana. And they come through, and you invite them to come and go through I'll read it. It says, I call upon Archangel Zadkiel, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, Articus, Diana, and Victoria, and all the angels of the violet ray. Blaze, 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 the violet flame in, through, and around this entire, I'm setting this for my home, property, and vehicles. Violet flame any low, discordant energies that have been absorbed in the house, property, vehicles, in every nook and every cranny, every crystal, every stone, every piece of wood, every animal, every sheet, pillowcase, blanket, pillow, every piece of fabric, everything on this property. Transmute any and all low, misguided energies. Transmute all cause, core, effect, record, memory, known and unknown, past, present, future. And then I also put in here from all dimensions. Send this discordant, misguided energy back to the original source of all that is, where it can be repolarized, regenerated, back into the original Christed white light state. When this is completed, then return the white light back to this property. And that's when you pause and you think about it like being the most super vacuum in the world and sucking up all the bad energy around you. And it takes it up to what I call a big laundromat in the sky and gets it all crispy white again. And then it sends it back to you. So the good thing about this prayer is you're not, the only energy you're inviting in is energy that you want to come take something, go away. So that's kind of different. And I have, if you contact me at crystaldirections.nancyjean@gmail.com, I'll send you a copy of this. I also have the violet flame consuming flame for yourself, where you pull that violet energy inside yourself. And Dr. Gail could talk a little more about that because that's kind of the one she uses more. There's also a tube of light on this sheet, which you're praying in for a tube of light to be put around you to protect you from all the energies that are going on. And then there's another one on my sheet, the blue wall of flame, which is another protective measure. But Dr. Gail, you can talk a little bit more about the request you got for this.
Yes. Well, actually, it was White Dragon who requested a little more on
He's,
this.
he's in the chat room.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad he's there. And he asked me to come to you to find out more information about it. And he actually has helped me through a lot of it too. But
Mm-hmm.
I put a bubble around myself all the time, every day. After I open up all my chakras and I get energy from above and below, I wrap myself in a bubble and I only allow high vibrational messages or beings coming through. And then I was needing to step it up some. And White Dragon warned me about that. So I had to bring in the violet flame inside my bubble. And also, there's like little sparklers in there that's zapping anything that's negative coming my way. And so as you go through your process, you make your own. You do
Mm-hmm.
what's right for you. Some are words, some are doing things. You just figure out which one's the way best for you. But it's good to go to different people and ask what they do, and just adapt what fits your personality and how you want to do it. So that's how I do it.
Yeah, because I when we go through the questions, and I have quite a few questions, so I don't even know if we're going to be hustling to get through these in the hour, but because I'm glad people wrote these down because they're very long and complicated. But I used the violet flame at the vintage store where people would bring in stuff not knowing. If you handle vintage stuff all day and that's what you do for a living, you don't know that there's bad vibes on it until they're like turning the radio on that's not plugged in, which is kind of a clue. Um, but anyway, I used to go through there and clean it out all the time. And it's so funny because right after I agreed to do this with Dr. Gail and I was setting it up, the woman who owns that store called me and said, "Can you come through before we open soon?" And then she showed me a whole bunch of pictures from her ring monitor where the ghosts are setting off her ring monitor, her visual monitor. I mean, and she gets orbs that are as big as my fist coming right up and going, phew. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not, yeah. So she said, "Something's back." And so I said, I'm going to go over there sometime this week and do that for her. Um, I've used sage. I've used Palo Santo, which I happen to like better. I think it's less of a caustic smell. Um, I've used salt, and I have a little container of holy water, and just for those extra special times when you really don't want to get that close, get it. But and you kind of learn those things as you go along. But there is a lot about what we do. You'll see somebody say, "Well, I opened up to this person and did it." Well, we're going to get to that question, but you really need to have permission before you start trying. Like you can't walk in someone's house and say, "Your house is haunted, so I'm going to fix it up." I mean, that's why you have to have a personal space around yourself because whatever they do, they do. And if they want help from you, you can find that out. But so you ready to go to the questions, Dr. Gail?
Yes, let's go to them.
Okay. I'm going to go. I created banners so people could see. Okay. Erin Mist wrote me and she said she's moving into the healing field, beginning some Reiki training this week. Any suggestions on guidance on how to best receive and move forward with this healing tool? I don't see myself as fully practicing Reiki, but more about using it as a part of the collective bag of healing tools for myself, individuals, and Gaia. And she's also interested in ley lines, and I'm not going to go into ley lines today, but by the end of this month, Sheila and Johan Van Wyck and I will be doing a show on ley lines.
Well, I immediately saw air mist. I knew the Reiki is a stepping stone for you, but immediately I saw you as a shaman. So you might want to check into that because I do think this is just a stepping stone for you. And I think that is your future, is that you'll eventually, you might create your own thing, but I do think you're going to be going into that direction.
Yeah, and isn't Danny going to be teaching a class in shamanism?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You might want that class.
Yeah, it's Bathrobe Tarot. If you don't know, who doesn't know Danny, but if you don't, it's Bathrobe Tarot. And he's teaching a course in shamanism, and it's pay what you can because he just wants to share what he knows. So that might be a good place to start. I had the same feeling. You really do need to find something like a violet flame or whatever protective energy you need, or wearing the right crystals to have them absorb energy. Because Reiki's an energetic field, and when you start crossing into other people's energy, it's like a whole nother thing. And this next question, I think that pretty much covers it, don't you?
Yeah, just that Aaron, Miss, I think you just need to adapt what your own ritual's going to be. Is like Nancy's is different than mine. You talk to different people and you adapt your own personal, whatever it is that fits you and that you feel comfortable with. And you're going to learn something probably with Reiki, and you'll probably learn something with shaman, and you're probably going to learn something, and then you're going to be able to adapt your own ritual.
Right. Okay. Karen J, we have wants to have a word of warning, and her story is she's going to have to catch us on replay, so I can't ask her any more questions. But I did massage therapy for several years before going to chiropractic school. I was working in a spa. I would do Reiki prayer every morning before I massaged, and I did okay. Then I became a supervisor and got busy and let the prayer go. I was working on one guest and just felt totally drained. Never had anything happen like that before. She apparently was an energy vampire, but she really sucked me dry. Any recommendations for someone like that? And I think Dr. Gail has a really good one.
Yes. Karen, I had a situation last year where I was going to relieve a chiropractor who had a heart attack, and I was going to take over his practice while he recuperated. And I knew, I could feel it. My guides told me how negative the energy was in the whole practice. And so I got instructions from a person who, one of my mentors, and she told me to send out my guides before I got there, put them in the four corners of every in the room, and have one guy, a fifth guide above me, sucking all negative energy out that was being created at that time. I know you're not practicing right now, but you probably will be going into those situations in the future. And just remember that. Take 5 guides, 4 in the corners to transmute the negative energy, and one above you that's sucking the energy away from your clients or your patients. I hope that helps. Oh, and I was wearing obsidian too.
Yeah.
In fact, I used up the very first day that I lost it. So,
Oh, well, that'll tell you.
yes.
Okay. My thing would be the same way. I've actually had an incident where this is when I'd first come on YouTube. I did a reading for a woman, and she started telling me how she'd had to move. She moved across the mountains. She moved from one side of the Appalachian Mountains to the other because she wanted to be with this specific group. And she's telling me, anyway, she'd been hearing me talk about, that's when I used to have lung problems, and you could really hear it when I was reading. And I was sitting here at this table, and all of a sudden I felt someone grabbing my throat and just stopping my breath. And it wasn't asthma, you know. I know the difference. And my Patrick was in the kitchen. He came running out because he could hear me going, "Ah!" And he said, "What's happening?" And that shocked me. And I told him, I said, "Stop that." And she said, "Oh, I was trying to help you." She was working with a bunch of people who were trying to teach her how to do energy magic. She didn't have my permission to do it. She didn't have any reason to cross my space. Man, then I really started building up the fortress because I had no idea somebody could get you through Zoom. You know? And
well, also, I think that is the other thing is there always, well, not always, there's occasionally going to be a leak. There's occasionally going to be somebody who gets through everything you have. And in fact, that is one of the things I have been doing lately, probably for the past 6 months to a year, is taking care of those things that leak through to people, especially the practitioners. And I go in and get rid of them. I've been doing that a lot lately. So there is occasionally something that does sneak through. And if it does, just contact me.
yeah, yeah. And we got another question, and the story behind this. This is Lori P. Opened up to a member at church. I know I can channel, and I've always been empathic, but controlling it is a challenge. We have an autistic man in our church who talks to himself often. My friend, pastor, will sometimes ask me if he's all right or just stressing. And I opened up to him on Sunday and saw the energy, and it really made me feel ill. It was like wavy lines of conflict surrounding him. I also saw and heard a strong woman talking to him, who I assume was his deceased mother, still trying to control him. I was physically off for the rest of the day and almost had a bad case of motion sickness. Never happened to me before, as I usually channel through pictures. Oh, shush.
Well, can I say exactly
Yeah,
what
you
I'm?
can talk because I got someone at my door.
Okay. First thing, my first reaction is you need a reading with Nancy Jean. That was my first reaction. That she needs to dive in more into that than what we can do here. But we were also concerned the fact that you were getting into somebody's energy that you didn't have permission to do. We're not real sure about, probably need more details, but I do think you need to get a reading with Nancy Jean to help you through that one, because I think there's a lot more to it than what we're reading in the the details that you've given us. I think she needs more. But I've seen a lot of people who are addressing energy and being zapped of energy. When I started doing my readings in the beginning, I was told we have access to continual energy and it's supposed to go through us, and we're not supposed to contain it. We're supposed to be channeling energy from above
Hmm.
and being grounded in energy from below. So you have from above, you have a white light or whatever you have that's coming through you all the way down to earth, through your roots down to earth, and then all that's coming up through your body. So you have a continuous flow of energy up and down, all the way through you. And you're just a channel. You're not the one that's supposed to contain that energy. It's supposed to flow through you. And that might help some to connect that way, from your crown chakra to your root chakra, and making sure the energy is flowing through you instead of containing that energy.
Right. The other thing that I thought of when I saw this is I don't know if this man even has the ability to consent. His soul doesn't have the ability to consent to be touched.
Mm-hmm.
And I I've had people come to me and they'll, especially when I was in the wine bar and somebody had a little too much wine, they'd come up and they'd go, "When's my dirty SOB gonna get his?" And I said, "Well, I can't answer that for you." And she said, "Yes, you can. I know you can see it." And I said, "Well, yeah, I can see it, but I will do that when the dirty SOB comes and asks me, not because you want to know." And I mean, that's making almost light of it, but really, I know the pastor was trying to see if there's something that way, but you would have to have a level of permission from that person to go into their energy. That can mess you up too.
That's,
So, and Lori, if you contact me, I'd like to go through it with you because there's a empaths have a different sort of way they have to live their lives to protect themselves because if you burn yourself out, you're not going to do anybody any good. So thank you, Dr. Gail, for suggesting she comes to me. But
well, that was my immediate reaction. I was like,
there's yeah. So I have people that I go, oh, they need to speak to Dr. Gail because they're
yeah,
talking about stuff I don't do.
right.
Okay, cartomancy, and I know cartomancy, and she has throat chakra problems. And she was quick. She said, my throat chakra is always getting hit. How can I protect it from that particular part of my energy?
Should we go first?
Yeah, you go. You go first.
Cartmancy, immediately I got, you have an issue with your heart chakra, and that you are not speaking from your heart. You're holding back. There's something going on with you that you're not speaking your truth, and that you need to open up your heart chakra first. And me, the best way, I like turquoise because I think turquoise is a connection between your heart and your throat. I think you need to be bathing in it practically to help open up that heart chakra and be able to speak your truth. But that's what I was getting. So Nancy, you take it from there.
Well, I've met cartomancy. We're weirdly enough probably the only person in this whole thing. I met her when we had the meetup with Sheila.
Oh, that's
Absolutely
great.
lovely.
All right.
And she's a very good sensitive very, but I think what happens is I think she may self-edit. I don't know that for sure but I know that when I see stuff in a reading and I'm going, oh, I have to say that. If I don't say that, then I'm going to feel choked off.
Mm-hmm.
That it sort of slows the roll of your ability to
Uh,
function.
does Cartmancy, does she do readings? Oh, well, that makes sense. There it is. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it may be just to people she knows and loves. She doesn't want to tell them the truth. Trust
Right.
me, I get caught in that one a lot. But uh, I also know that when you block your heart chakra, that's my big weight loss story. I had fort fat built around my heart, and that kept me over 300 pounds until I meditated enough and realized it was there and kind of melted it away. And then my energy could flow from the head to the
Mm-hmm.
root, and from the root to the top. And then you can really begin to manifest and bring in what you need and what you want. I also did a little bit of looking around to see the latest wisdom on this. And one of the things it says is if you're having difficulty, if you feel like your words are being strangled off when you're speaking, to keep a journal, because when you journal, you're writing from your heart.
Well, that was actually the journaling was the big thing that got me through taking care of my dad with dementia. I
Mm-hmm.
all that I had two journals. I had my bitch journal and my grateful journal, and I got everything out that I wanted to say, and I couldn't because people got tired of hearing it. And I just wrote it all in the bitch journal. Just wrote it, and then would turn right around and do the grateful journal part. And a lot of times it was all the things I was complaining about was also the things I was grateful for that I was able to do. And that might help you also to get two journals like that, because I think you're having trouble speaking from your heart or speaking what you need to say. You might just want to write it down, get your bitch journal, write it down, don't let anybody find it or see it, and then turn right around and write what you're grateful for. And that exercise might help you.
Okay, and then I think, oh, the other thing, I looked up some stuff, but I do have a chakra egg that's for the throat.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That'd be
That's a
good.
lapis, and that's the symbol for the throat chakra, and it's caught up in an egg, and that's what it's there for. The heart chakra was to relieve and relax the heart. The throat chakra is to help with the throat, because when I read people, the three top chakras that they have problems with is first the heart, then the throat, and then the root chakra, because they just can't get themselves back to their most basic self.
And what I deal with is like the solar plexus, where all that's happening and people lose their confidence. And I have to go
Mhm.
and heal that also from the negative entities that have attached there.
Mhm. Yeah, that's another one.
Mm.
The next person is, I named her question shifty behavior. Uh, Hi, Nancy and Dr. Gail. Wondering if you can help me to decipher an event that happened on June 2nd between 3:20 and 3:35 Eastern Standard Time. So this was obviously very important to her because she kept that going. I was asleep, and all of a sudden, from the top of my head to my toes, I could feel every cell in my body turning inside out. It was scary at first to be scary the last for me. But it felt like everything in my body was shifting, but the physical things around me were not. I immediately called upon my guides in the white light and was quite upset, and I admit I was afraid. This wasn't an astral projection. I'm sure I wasn't lucid dreaming, but it was definitely something physically inside my body. It went on for about 20 minutes. I calmed down. My guides gave me happy faces and let me know that everything was really okay. But it was very disconcerting. I kept hearing the word shift. To me, shift is to move from one place to another, or one thought to another, or one pattern to another thing. But this was much more than that. It was a complete shakeup, and I'm not sure of what. Any ideas what this was? Was anyone else reported anything like this? Next day, I had a headache all day. I didn't notice anything else that's different. It was just like something went right through me.
We both agreed on this one. Oh, those some nice ascension symptoms that you were having. You could have asked them to back off a little bit, so it wouldn't have been. But welcome to the.
Welcome to shift. I can tell you when I had my shift, I was sitting in this chair. I wasn't even asleep. And all of a sudden, I saw and I felt with my whole body about being really connected to the universe. Like something reached out and plugged into me and like gave me my USB cord and said, "Now you're tied in." Um, and all of a sudden, I began to understand all of why all the things I'd studied were all coming together at that point in time. and kind of what my next voyage was. But I wasn't really clear about my next voyage, so you may not get clear immediately. But you've definitely had a shift in your DNA. It's what's happening to all of us. You just are very, very sensitive.
Yeah, you're more aware of it, and congratulations for
Yeah.
that you had. So probably great things are going to start happening, and expect some more. Might not be as, it might be not that much like that, but that was a pretty big shift change for you.
Yeah, and everybody thinks the ascension means they're going to get into an elevator and go to a new dimension, and oh, you're going to be right here. You're going to be the new dimension.
Yeah, when it was happening to me, I was falling all the time. I was walking my dogs, and for no reason would be falling, tripping. It went over and over and over again. I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. So, yeah.
I got to keep talking, Dr. Gail, because I got to post something.
Okay, but anyway, the ascension. I'm not surprised you had a headache the next day. Usually, it takes a few days after something that major happens to you that you have some symptoms. But there are people who, like for me myself, always have ringing in the ear. My left ear, when I'm getting information, is just going out, just crazy ringing, and then it'll go to both ringing when I'm getting a lot of information, and then it'll ease off with nothing's going on at all and no ringing. But I would be expecting some more of that, because that's the way you get a lot of your information that happening to you since you've had that shift. So they're going to probably be blasting you with information now. So that's pretty exciting for you.
I was really excited when I read that question. I thought that was really a good thing.
Yes, most people don't recognize it like you did or hear that shift. So I think it was Danny when he was going through all that. He went through all the dizziness.
Oh God.
And when it was
download.
He called me and he's going, "What's happening?" And I'm going, "Oh, you're getting a lot of upgrades and it'll be done." And I think I told him 2 days. And then after 2 days, he had what they said, download completed.
Yeah, he was sitting in his hot tub and he was looking up and he was looking at the stars and saying, "I can't take too much more of this." And then he heard this, like the voice at the airport that announces flights. It said, "Download complete," and the ringing stopped.
Yeah.
And then he was afraid to get out of the water because he was sure.
But he had a really tough few days there when his process was, his was pretty strong. But I was getting that when I was coming to Mount Shasta also. When I was talking to you, Nancy, they were saying, opening your knowledge. I know you're hearing Jezebel whine. She's seeing other dogs and people. But they were saying, open your knowledge. And they were saying it about every 20 minutes as I was coming to Mount Shasta. And then when I got about 15 miles out of Mount Shasta, it said, knowledge opened. I was going, what was that? So obviously I was getting a lot of upgrades as I was coming to Mount Shasta.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that happen to you when this stuff's going on. I have tendinitis to some extent because it's an artifact of surgery. I had a thing happen when they took a melanoma off the back of my leg. And, they always say wait 6 months because sometimes anesthesia will do that and then it'll fade away, whatever is going wrong. But it didn't. So then they tested me and they found a very, very old thing right across my oral nerve where something had happened. And they said, this would be like 40 years ago. This would be like high blood pressure thing. And I said, yeah, it was my pregnancy with my first son. I had incredibly bad high blood pressure. I was bedded down for 2 weeks at home. Couldn't do anything. And apparently when I gave birth to him, I blew my blood pressure so badly, they hit me with morphine to get it back down.
Right.
Yeah. But he was born before they did that. But, that's the only really bad high blood pressure I had back then. Of course, my doctor said, take notes of everything that's happening to your body right now when you're pregnant, because that's everything that's going to happen to you when you're old. I said, oh, thanks, Dr. R. You're so sweet. And yeah, there's Tammy saying her Tammy's saying her ears been ringing a lot in the last year. I hear that from a lot of people. I read a lot of people, but I don't have any grand solutions for it. I do know that the more you can settle yourself down and just open up and let let the messages come through, that the better off you'll be.
Well, and I've gotten to a place where it's like, oh, good, ring into my ear. I'm getting more information now. And when it gets louder, oh, good, they're really cranking it up. So mine goes with the volumes up and down. So, yeah. So I'm now get excited when it starts ringing like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting messages, and it's better. As a matter of fact, when it's not ringing, I'm like, what did I do wrong?
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, what did I do wrong? Am I going to get any more information? Yeah, and then it starts up again. So,
Did
but,
I posted my email in the chat? I'll post it one more time.
okay.
So you got to talk, Dr. Gail, because I can't talk and type. I'm very.
Well, is it time for us to open up the questions?
Yes, we can open up to questions.
It looks like we have 64 in the chat.
Oh,
Woohoo!
good.
That means we're going to have a lot of questions.
Right.
So go ahead, and does anybody have any question? We have a few minutes. I'll be hitting the road here soon.
Yeah, she's moving today, guys. She stopped her move to get on with us because I'm a dummy and I put our thing at the wrong time.
Yeah, I was in a hotel and I was going to leave, and I was getting ready for this live, and we had discussed yesterday it was going to be an hour earlier because I would have to check out.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing I knew, I see the posting and I'm going, calling her, Nancy. I said, well, I'm gonna have to do it in my car then. So here I am in my car. But yeah, let's see. Are you seeing the questions?
I'm seeing people have. I'm just seeing
Okay, there's a lot in the chat. So if y'all will put it in capitals so we can see it. And what we'll do is we'll go to the bottom of whoever's put it in capital and answer those questions.
Yeah, because it's really hard for us to read these and
right. So I see this Kelly. I see she's got Meniere's disease, so she has tinnitus 24/7 for the past 30 years. I'm so sorry.
That is bad. That's.
I mean, I've seen it. You know, being a nurse and chiropractor, I've seen that Meniere's disease, how it comes and goes, and when you do get it, it takes like a month for it to settle down. I do feel for you for that because that Meniere's disease, they really don't have anything to really help you for that.
No, it's just one of those you got to let it rest and have time to heal. I'm looking back.
And I thank everybody for coming. I can see Sharon Sight is getting saying hi to everybody and putting out the email. So thank you, Sharon. All that for us.
I put my website in. It's crystaldirections.com. And that's where you can go find out about how to book readings, how to buy eggs, how to buy gardens, how to do all that stuff.
And thank you for whoever y'all that put the questions in the community box for Nancy Jean's channel. Those were some great questions.
Okay. This lady wrote, Michelle Shining Light Tarot. I'm new at all of this, so I'm still learning. I got my first crystals about a month ago. When I get close to a bunch of crystals, my head tingles. Anyone know why? What are their feelings or energies? Okay. I'm probably going to do another show on this, but you can have crystal chaos. If you mix the wrong crystals with the wrong crystals, they fight. I mean, people say, do you think these things are really alive? Well, I know they really make changes in people's lives. So yes, I do. And so you try to kind of match the energy. So if you're getting you don't put a whole lot of quartz points in your bedroom when you're trying to sleep, because quartz points boom, the energy right into your head, which you don't need when you're sleeping. What you need is some nice, let me see if I can find my lovely rose quartz. Where'd you go? You got to find some You guys, I'm redoing my office, so it's even more of a mess. And people are used to seeing me turn around looking for the mess. But this is a beautiful chunk of rose quartz.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
I know. It's rose quartz doesn't make points. If you see rose quartz that has points, that's been filed. There's one place in the world where I think it makes points, because the stuff that makes rose quartz rose doesn't make points. The planes don't work that way when the crystal forms. But it's a beautiful. It's my light's a little glary, but put this beside your bed and you'll sleep.
Well, I'll have to remember that, but I've been sleeping pretty good since I've been on my journey here. I think it's more like passing out.
Yeah. And my other comment to Michelle is, when I go to the rock shop, which is where I buy all the crystals I do to build my grids and to get the things for my gardens and stuff, I know I can be in there 40 minutes. And if I get past 40 minutes, I start feeling like I have vertigo.
Right. I can't stand in crystal stores for very long either.
Yeah. And there's people who just, can hunt and hunt and hunt. And I always find now that I will open up to before I go into the crystal store. I'll tell any crystal that really just needs to come home to me, to come in and.
Yeah, what was that pink one that I got recently that you told me about? That was beckoning. I went in 3 times and it was calling me, and you finally said you need to get it.
Yeah, no, I don't remember what the name of it was, because I don't remember all those things. What things could be in chaos? I don't have anything sitting out here that's going into chaos, because I don't want to sit next to chaos. But I'll tell you a funny story. There was a woman who, when I first started my channel, she wrote me this long letter to my email. And I talked about crystal chaos. And she said, she went in and looked at her husband and she said, we made a mistake. And they had been collecting crystals as they crossed the country. Mm-hmm. So they had them like as single display pieces. She said most of them weren't all that big, but around her house. And then they just decided, oh, we'll just put them all together and put them in a bowl in our bedroom. And that they remembered what day they did that. And they quit having comfortable sleep because they had very pointy, active.
Right. Well, I have also, I know this, I feel like you can train your crystals, some of them.
Oh, yeah.
To them. And I feel like they're almost like my pet rocks. Like, this is the intention I want you. And as my dog Jezebel's looking at me like, what pet rocks? I'm your pet.
Not another pet, Mom.
Yeah.
This is rainbow obsidian, and you can see a little bit of the rainbowy stuff in it. But if you take this out in the sun, it has the primary colors of the rainbow in it, just shining out of the stone. But you have to have real sunlight to see it. And I've owned this stone. It was actually a gift I gave to my husband from one of the psychic fairs I worked. And there was a stone fabricator there, Annie, and said, your husband needs this. And she handed it to me and sold it to me for a very good price. And he did. He had a little problem grounding himself at times. Nothing dangerous. Just he was a very, 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 very in his head person. And so I've kept it with me. And when I used to read at table, I had this and this at the table. That's a Lumerian. That's a Lumerian quartz with all of the the little floaty things in it. And there's a word for it, guys. I know, but I'm not remembering it. And actually looks like somebody stuck little things in it. And every time we go through a really important astrologic event, it gets cloudier and cloudier. Because when I first got it, it was crystal clear. It was like a wand. And I used to have those two things at my table. And when people would say, oh, can stones really work? I'd hand them the wand and their energy would go
right,
up and out. And then I'd say, okay, hand me the wand back carefully and put your hand on the obsidian. And it just makes, you can feel your energy come back in.
Well, I remember the night I called you about my grid that I had on my fireplace going, it's pulsating. What's going on? I just felt like there was so much energy coming off of it. I was like, what's happening here? But that came from that's from her grid that I have.
Yeah. Well, it helps. It fires up. I had a woman who picked her grid up from her post office because it didn't fit in her mail slot.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy goes, "Lady, is this thing vibrating? What's in it?" She said, "No, it's just a bunch of stones." And she took it from him and it was vibrating, but she wasn't going to tell him it was vibrating because she didn't want him to take it away from her.
Yes. That'd be also awfully hard to explain that to your postman.
I don't know. My postman's very nice. He comes in when I do lots of grids all at once.
Uh-huh.
I think the most he's ever picked up was 20, and he goes, "What's in here?" And I said, "They're boxes of rocks."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I saw
okay.
that Lynn. I was going, oh, that's Nancy Jean's question.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna add you, and Doc. You're gonna be the big thing, and we're gonna put the garden over here. Okay. We're gonna read cards, kids, and which. That's not really. I'll just see if he'll contact you again, Jolyn, and I can do that. I can do a pendulum, but I think I'm just going to do yes no with the cards. Flee, stones, flee. You don't want to answer this question. Yeah, and when he comes back, he's going to have a good excuse. Are you sure he's really available? Because I see there's some problem with family here. But he wasn't ready for meeting you either. And he's a person of a certain amount of value. Are some things about him. He can be a little bit unbalancing.
Mm.
But I think, let's see, what's he doing?
Does she want him to come back?
Well, that was one of my questions. Yeah, I clearly get that from this card and then what these three cards say, which he can't make up his mind about some things. He's not really available. And he may choose to make himself available, but that's what the problem is. And we can do a quick look. Obviously, I'm not going to tell her whether she wants him to come back.
Right.
You know, sometimes people enter our lives to be lessons. You know?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of those lessons.
Yeah. I married my lessons. Thank you very much. I'm going to write in my show notes that I'm going to do a whole show on crystal chaos and when crystals don't get along and not putting the wrong elements together. Okay. Should I repair or move? I'm going to do should you move first?
Well, move, aren't you going to have to repair your house for the next person?
Some people don't do that.
That's true.
I've used to run a company that redid houses, and I'd fix their house up, and they'd go, "Now I don't want to move."
Exactly. I'm guilty of that too because I used to flip houses and I would move into work on it. And by the time I'm finished, I'm going, oh, do I really want to move now? But of course, when you're doing that, you don't get personally involved in the house. You just, yeah.
Okay, this is should you move, and it's no, yes, no. That means it's either way. So let's see if repairing it turns out to be a better answer. And I didn't see any major things. I just saw it's kind of an attitude problem at this point. And I'm dropping cards, which is not good. Oh, no, you don't want to not have the Page of Pentacles in your deck. This is repair.
This is going to be interesting to see what she should do.
You're going to get more value in your life if you repair, because you don't know really where you want to move. This says there's part of that house you feel very comfortable with, but you haven't had people who could help you figure out the right direction to move in. But I think you're better off holding on than going into the housing market now. And also you have someone who'll help you, and then that'll solve this is your big problem. When the high priestess is upside down, it means there are things happening around you that you don't understand or don't want to look at. And you need to have her right side up because you need to be in good stead with that. Let's see where. Okay. Okay. I'll do a reading from the garden for Michelle. We're going to do what's kind of the vibes that are moving forward for Michelle. Okay.
Hi, Michelle. Well, hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
How many do we have now?
There's 68.
Oh, good.
And let's say, hey, Zeta, hey. We've already talked to you about, Michelle, Shiny Light, False Teeth, Real Chero, hey, how are you doing? Esther Farrell, and Carly, we talked to her too.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Bree Henson, you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay.
When you read in the garden, one of the women who got my first garden and really reads with it a lot, she's in Puerto Rico. She said she had a vision one night that whenever stones land in the heart, that's really drawing you to the base. And you got two great stones in your heart chakra. And you've got clarity, which says wisdom comes from the clarity of your own emotions. And right next to it, you have the grounding, which says this encourages understanding that not everything is in the physical realm. So you've got some visions and some ideas coming towards you, and you certainly do, because your path forward is the spirit stone. It's the amethyst, and your path forward says balance your energy so you can move ahead. And when the body falls in water, it means to ground yourself and get clear about some things, but you've got your brain, mind, and air. Your thoughts are all important. So what I put this together to mean is you've got a lot of visions and things coming through to you, and you're trying to figure out which way to go. And they're clear to you. And the more grounded you get, and the more you when you separate your thoughts from your emotions, because sometimes you remember, just because we think we know it doesn't mean we do. So you need to get clear about where you are emotionally. That's when you're going to zoom forward. So this is a great reading for someone and I think you may be sitting there going, where am I going? But you actually know. If you look in your heart, you'll figure out exactly where you need to go.
That's a good message for her.
Yeah, that's a good one. Your reader, that's a real good message. Okay.
I kept getting heart also.
Right. Yeah, well, our heart, we're in Cancer, and that's when our heart chakras tend to open up more for any number of reasons. I was drawn to the heart chakra egg. Would it help me miss? Yes, it will help you. It will help you connect to, I think in your case, it will help you connect to the vibrations and energy he sends towards you. And there's a lot of healing that goes on with the heart chakra, because there's a lot of stuff that we think we should have said or could have done or would have done. And I think the heart chakra can really help you settle that.
Libra lady, he's standing right next to you right now.
Yeah, he's not far away. If you want to connect with him, that would be a good way to do it. And this what a heart.
He's there supporting you.
Mm-hmm. There's what a heart chakra egg looks like, and it's got the heart chakra symbol and the 6 points, and it's 6 points of malachite and blue lace agate to pull in understanding. So, okay, and I'm trying to go down and see if there's any more questions. Let's see, who's this one? Okay, a general reading from the garden. Those are easy. Don't have to shuffle. It's freaks when Jeffrey and I were doing the dailies, he kept saying, "You read too fast. I have to shuffle my cards."
Yeah, just shuffle the stones.
Yes, just shuffle, shuffle. Oh, he's moving again.
Well, you can also talk about your classes that you're getting ready to take on this garden.
Yes, on the garden. I'm going to do a whole show on that on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I just want to look back. Okay, in for you. This is for only daughter. Okay. Restate and past. Oh, jeez.
Only daughter.
I was never one of those. I was one
No.
of two girls, and then I had three brothers. Okay.
You didn't like your brothers?
I don't talk to them. We haven't spoken in 7 years.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't have anything they want to hear, and they don't have anything that's ever convinced me to become who they are. So, okay, this is where you are right now. You're in in restate, and in the garden, that's a place where you've posed the right question, but you have so many answers, you have to kind of weed them out and come down to the right one. And it's think about how you're viewing this situation. Think, and rethink, because a whole lot of how you're viewing it is from patterns from the past. You've got your mind is locked between the south fire, which is ancestral past life, or just the past and you got a lot of stones in the past. You're putting up with a whole lot of family crap right now, I think.
That kind of makes sense. Only daughter, because she would be the one
She
everybody gets.
gets it all. And it says the stone here says don't become too tied to the past. This says you're thinking way too much in old patterns, and this is saying weed this out and figure out what you really ought to do. And then also in fire, you have thoughts of this stone actually means here. Thoughts of the past are clouding your new enlightening ideas, and your body's trying to get out of the past because you've been living out what other people told you to do. You've been embodying the past, and you want to move forward. You want to move away. You want to find some new ways to be grounded and find your new self. And interestingly enough, you have in air, which is thoughts and things. It's like swords. It's like thoughts and ideas and things like that.
What you're saying, spot on.
Okay, and then it says, "Be sure your own thoughts are clear." And this just this little bitty. No, it didn't. It didn't pick it up. It did not go into water. So that's the total message from your clarity today: is be sure your thoughts are clear. And then your grounding is in the future. All this past crap. Your best stones out here in the future. And in the future,
Oh, I'm hearing boundaries with her too. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries.
all your gifts are not yet recognized. That's what's happening. You're beginning to realize who you really are.
Yeah.
And this keeps pulling you back, but you're getting the clarity and you're beginning to understand how your ideas really work. And Katie bar the door, girl, you break this little trifecta up, and you're going to be fine. Okay. Let's see if we got. Okay.
My dog might, Jezebel might start barking because she sees another dog and she's just trying to crank up. So forgive me.
Okay. Oh, that's okay. I trapped you in your damn car. What do you want? Okay. I can tell time on the garden. I don't know if you know this, but this is winter, spring, summer, fall, and how far the stones fall in it tells me the time, kind of how far. So we're looking for Tammy Kennelly. I hope I sang that right. And my husband will get a new steady job. This summer's been tough. When will her husband have a new steady job? Oh, he's gonna find out about it. Okay, whatever happened in the spring was really kind of unfortunate. But where this is all leading is this is summer. By late summer, he's gonna have something really good come into his into his life because he's got the grounding stone and heart. And like I said, that's also values and money. And it's pyrite. It's fool's gold. It's a real pretty stone. And when that lands in the heart, it means that all the things he's been hoping for are going to start to come in the physical realm. I think it's going to be towards the end of summer. I think like in August, because I see him really moving in. And it's something he's done before and really liked, and he's really going to be glad to go back into it.
That's
But
next month.
I know.
Wow. How great is that?
Yeah. And then this is the where his mind is, and his mind's creativity is the key for him to move forward to his security, and the mind is aligned with his creativity. I don't know if he does something that's creative or he's going to be creating a new thing to do in this field, but I see him moving into it, really getting into it. He's going to feel familiar with it. It's going to give him a place for his mind to grow, and then I see it all coming together in the future. So this is all leading to a really new good thing for you in the future. I'm really happy for you. I know this has been a tough time. It's been a
Good.
tough couple of years, but I think it's going to be fine.
That's good.
Okay, prime 3. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little secret. I don't read about airlines much because I used to work for one. I don't like them. So I'm going to read real fast yes, no on your trip. No. I'm getting no, but I'm getting your trip, some of your plans will be delayed or just changed. There's going to be a whole lot of hassle, but you're going to get there. So, but that's what my instincts are telling me. But let's see if the cards agree. I always like to go back to my cards since I've been doing them since I was 12. It's a long time ago.
You're such a good reader.
No. It says it's going to be fine. Your fear is that the flights are going to get canceled and all that stuff. They're not. And that's just your own mind going wild. But just keep on top of it and take advantage of every way you can track them down and hold on to the people that are doing this sort of stuff. Let's see. Show. Okay. Anastasia wants a message from the garden.
I apologize, everybody. I'm in the front seat of my car with Dirty Harriet, my cat, and my dog Jezebel, and we're sitting under a tree in a park. And if I'm looking away, it means there's somebody or a dog or something coming up. And I'm trying to stop her from barking.
We appreciate all. I really appreciate all the struggles Dr. Gail's going through, because I'm not sure, Chris, you wouldn't sit in my car these days since the AC still doesn't work. But that's another story. Anastasia, what's going on?
Sheila from Colorado having to come down and spend time with me in an air-conditioned car in Texas.
It's going to be 110 Sunday here.
Oh my gosh!
I know. Oh, you got great stuff. You're clearing up a whole lot of stuff for yourself right now because you've got clarity. This is a sodalite. It's clarity. You're tying to the cosmic wisdom that you were born with.
Ooh.
And it's making you got restate in here for your body, and that makes you're having to completely rethink how you deal with things, because you've got so many. What this opening up has opened up so many more options to you, and you're like, where the hell do I go? Well, that's because your whole life is flowing away from you, and you got great stuff up here. But water, when stones land in the water part of the center of this grid, it means that you're moving on, and it's really time for you to move on, girl. And you've got let go of all limitations. And your transmutation's completed. Whatever got set up here, your body's just hanging in here saying, no, I can't do this. But you can. You can figure out how to make all this stuff work, because you're letting go of all the limitations you've lived with for years. And then the teeniest, tiniest crystals in a line. And when it hits a line, it means I have to read both of those. That's not a big pain, but I'm just saying. You've got your values are grounding between the crown chakra, which is enlightenment, helps you confidently attach and move all of your energies. That's going on. And the tree of life is fool's gold, deception. The reason you're hesitant is because in the past you've followed fool's gold instead of your own thoughts and feelings. But what's happening, the abundance that's coming around goes beyond the physical world. Learn from this lesson of harmony. Man, you could have gotten a better, I don't think I've really done much of a better reading in the garden than that. You're completely newly awakened. Your mind is in touch with it. It wants to let go of all those limitations and move on and move forward. And this is telling you that the only thing that you took a leap of faith, I think, once before in your life, Anastasia, and it didn't work out the way you wanted. And now you're thinking, I'm not doing that again. Oh, girl, go do it.
Yeah, you've learned your lesson.
Yeah, you can spot fool's gold from real gold. I mean, that's one of the things you can do.
Yeah, you're going to be fine. You've learned your lesson. You will be cautious, but
I'm going through looking for things in capital letters. I have a reading for the garden of where I am in growth. Okay.
Hey, Marjorie. There's some people Marjorie Melbrozar. I'm not sure if I said that right. Very at holding your space. I love that name. I think we all should be holding our space. That's great. I mean, that makes it sound like you've got your boundaries around you, girl.
Okay. I'm getting a lot of stuff in the outer ring, and that's the chakras and the more dynamic parts of our lives. This is the sort of early everyday stuff we're trying to cope with. But don't tell me you can't do this, girl. You got mind and go for it. And go for it's my favorite space in this garden. I had it named something else when I first designed it. And then I was like, no, that's not the right thing. And then I just sat down and did a little automatic writing, and go for it was in the middle of the page. And I said, that space is go for it. And when I started having, I don't know if you guys know all about the garden, but when I started having visions, I was having dreams every night. I was waking up in the middle of the night, dictating my dreams into my phone, and then collapsing back to sleep because I really do like to sleep. And the first one I got was go for it. And go for it is the image of that when I was a young child. I was standing on a golf course, and I was so tiny. I'm only 5'4", 5'3", depends on how tall I stand. But I was never a giant. And I was teeny tiny, and my father decided I was going to learn golf. Yes, I lived in one of those families, country clubs and things like that. And my dad got me a little set of golf clubs, and you're going to go out and you're going to learn how to golf. And so I had to go out. I wanted so badly to be in the pool. That's all I wanted to do. I want to be in the water. I didn't want to be out in the grass. Anyway, I was out there, and the pro kind of had it with me because I was a bit of a brat. And you can't imagine that, can you, Dr. Gail? But anyway, so I just said, I can't see where the green is because, that's why they have those flags. But if you're really short and they have hills, you can't see where the green is. And finally, he got so aggravated with me, and he said, just think where it is and go for it. And I hit a hole in one. And my father forever after says, you have to keep playing golf. You hit a goal in one. And I said, no, I was just so pissed I hit a goal in one. But anyway, so I had forgotten about that completely. And I actually verified that with an old friend of mine who used to swim with me every day there. She said, oh, yeah, I remember when you hit the hole in one. So go for it means just, in the way I interpreted that is it just means go for it. Whatever it is, go for it. And whatever's going on in your life, girl, you need to go for it now.
What a great go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're just going to take one more reading. I'm going to have to get on the road here.
Okay. Well, this one's for you. Says your thoughts are leading the way. Your clarity is moving by learning from past lessons, moving into water and letting go. Your body is still sort of embodying some of your past, but you have a whole bunch of new feelings and new things about you emerging. For up here where you have your values in the sacral chakra, that means you're doing something new, creativity. Manifestation is supercharged for you at this time. And your spirit crystal is power comes from your own spirit, which is now transmuting and transforming. So I don't know what you're into, girl, but do it.
Well, I'm seeing Terry has changed her name. I love your name, Terry. Um, yeah, she. That's what the Terry at holding your space.
Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, let's see. We want to do one more.
Just one more.
Okay. Do you want to? I do. Did I answer something for Carly Co already about moving?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm going to go to another person. No offense, call me. Thursday, I'm going to do nothing but garden readings, and it's going to be posted. And if you post in the comments before the show, you're for sure to get read. But anyway, so I'm going to do Oleon DB. We're going to do a reading in the garden for you. And then I have to go too, because Jeffrey and I have to tape some weeklies. And
Okay. Yeah, I'm still the vagabond here, going from place to place.
everybody I know is. I'm the most stuck in the world person. Okay. What you got? You got restate too. You're trying to get some things clear for yourself, but you're definitely moving, letting go of a lot of limitations, moving forward. Your value stone is in the water, and grounding changes are setting. You're setting up a whole bunch of new long-term patterns. You're doing it carefully though, because you're looking at what's worked and what hasn't. So you're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But you're having a spiritual emergence, and your spirit is definitely right now transforming, but not yet fixed. So you're in a very creative time. Pay a lot of attention to your dreams. This is going to be an interesting month for dreams, because I'm going to be talking about it in another show, but there's a astrologic event coming at the end of the month where Uranus and Mars are conjunct with the North Node. And I know for all of y'all going, I know what any of that means. Go look at some good folks like Heather Ensworth and Pam Gregory, and there's any number of really great. Dorothy Morgan, she's a real good for just personal stuff, personal planets. But this is big time crap. I haven't heard readers talking about the dynamics of something like this. Let's see, and we're gonna remove the garden, and we're gonna make us equal, because it is my channel. And this date, which is the 31st of July or the 1st of August, is so transformative that it's similar to the way I heard all the astrologers talking about January 12th, 2020, which was a conjunction of 3 big planets. And everybody kept saying, we don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to be big. And there's since been a documentary that you can find out in the streaming world called The Astrology of Pandemics, and explains how those planets have always set up big, huge changes, and there's always been like a pandemic. Okay, so that happened in 2020. Now readers are talking about this as if it was it's as if it's going to trigger off some similar sort, not illness. It's because of the nature of Uranus and Mars. But go check out a couple of astrologers and look at that too. Just don't sit around waiting for silly readers and people who throw rocks.
I know we're all going to be going, what's going to happen next?
Yes. Okay. Folks, I will be back up on Thursday. I will be back up on Thursday at 1:00. Dr. Gail will be doing her Dr. Gail thing in Shasta. I think Dozen Cats for Me will be back on with me, helping me kind of watch you so I can look at the rocks and keep track. But like I said, I'm going to post it. And so if you're not on my notifications for my channel, you need to get on there. You need to go over and subscribe, get on my notifications so you know when these are coming up, because I will always read the questions of the people that post them in the comments before, because it's when I try to just open it up to anybody, and I know there are readers who do that, and they do that. Well, we do it on Sunday morning with Scott Allen, but it's kind of crazy. And I want people to be able to get. And next Thursday, the whole thing is going to be about being part of the garden, learning how to read the garden. Yeah, Marie, I agree. I hope this, whatever's coming, is going to fix the BS in the government. But it's in a good place to do that, because the North Nodes brings in great changes. So with that, Dr. Gail and I are going to say goodbye. I'm going to let her let the poor kitty and the poor doggy go to their new home and have a And everybody have a lovely week. And I look forward to seeing you on Thursday if you can make it. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye bye, everybody.